In the most bizarre cases, an entire class went missing in 1988, and they were suddenly found years later. On a random Tuesday in April, Mr. Hamilton, a beloved geography teacher, led his students into the woods bordering their school. Little did they know that their lives would take an unexpected turn. The classroom fell silent as noon struck, and the students gathered their belongings, ready for the outdoor lesson. Mr. Hamilton often took his class beyond the school walls, believing the outdoors offered invaluable lessons. However, their educational excursion would take a dark twist on this fateful day. The students followed their teacher into the woods, leaving behind footsteps that would be the last of their kind. The school principal, Mr. Clarkson, watched from a distance, proud of his teacher's innovative methods and confident that this educational venture would be safe and enlightening. The students paid no attention to the passing of time, and Mr. Hamilton, mindful of his students' engagement, allowed their curiosity to guide their journey. Meanwhile, back at the school, the hands of the clock ticked relentlessly towards 3. Finally, school bells rang, and they weren't back from the outing. Principal Clarkson felt concerned as he surveyed the vacant classroom, and with that concern, he made his way to the woods, calling out for Mr. Hamilton and his students. There was no answer, so a chill ran down his spine, and he realized something was amiss. With growing dread, he returned to the school and called the police. With that, the search for the missing teacher and students commenced. The initial search efforts were frantic and disorganized, led by the rising panic of parents and school staff. Officers searched the woods, and parents joined the search, calling out the names of their beloved children. As the minutes stretched into hours, the search intensified, with more officers, volunteers, and even trained dogs joining the desperate quest. They couldn't have disappeared from the face of the earth, a desperate mother exclaimed as men and dogs combed the forest. Eventually, the dogs found a ribbon, but the girl wearing it was nowhere to be seen. After weeks of fruitless searching, everyone gave up, fearing the worst. How could 23 children and a teacher vanish without a trace? Funerals were held, and strange stories circulated as folk tales emerged from it. Years passed, and people moved away, unable to bear the loss. Until, one day, almost 35 years later, Sophie Ryder showed up, unrecognizable and now in her 40s. She approached someone and asked for directions to the police station. Sophie's outdated clothes and disheveled appearance drew curious stares at the station. She recounted her story to the officers, claiming to be the missing child from 1988. Despite skepticism and whispered doubts, she persisted. The police commissioner approached Sophie and noticed a frayed ribbon in her hand. This ribbon was a key element from the past. He recognized it, connecting it to the initial search, and invited Sophie to his office. There, they delved into old case files, piecing together the puzzle. The boss's curiosity grew as he compared Sophie's ribbon to one from the search, seeing identical initials. This tangible evidence brought newfound belief in Sophie's story. She hesitated, but then shared the fate of her classmates. The boss's expression turned somber, realizing the gravity of what she had endured. From there, he began planning a rescue operation, understanding the urgent need to find the remaining survivors. The chief had to put together a very technical team to get the job done properly. The community rallied, offering support and underscoring the importance of bringing the survivors home. Sophie's story spread, attracting attention. At the rescue site, she guided the team, pointing out a hidden cave entrance. They did what they could and finally brought the survivors to the surface, one by one. Sophie detailed their harrowing experience, explaining how they had adapted to life underground after a bear encounter led them to seek shelter in a cave that collapsed. She spoke of their resilience transforming their prison into a home. The community listened in awe, inspired by their survival against all odds. Sadly, their professor didn't make it out alive. Other survivors shared details of their professor's death and the resting places of those who didn't make it, while others reunited with their families.